Getting started with challenge running can be incredibly difficult if you don't have access to the right third-party tools and equipment, so I'm changing that. In this version of Pokémon Crystal, when you leave your room and speak to your mum, after she's done the normal text about giving you the Pokégear and asking you if you know how to use the phone, she will then ask you some further questions. Firstly, she will ask you if you wish to change the starter Pokémon in the Pokéballs in Professor Elm's laboratory. You get to choose between all 251 Pokémon in the game, and you get to set each ball individually. You will then get asked if you want to change your hidden power type. She will then ask if you want to set your hidden power type. If you say no, your DVs will still be random, but if you say yes, your DVs will be set to the best possible DVs for each hidden power type. If you change your starters, there is then an option for the rival to take the starter in the opposing ball to yours. And finally, there is an option to set the first encounters in the Ilex Forest and Route 34 to be Psyduck, Paras and Abra. If you say yes to this option, they will also guarantee to catch without fail. So let's now see this in action. When we spoke to Mom, we set the starters to be the Generation 1 starters, so instead of Cyndaquil, Totodile and Chikorita, we have Charmander, Squirtle and Bulbasaur. And when we check all three of the Pokeballs, we will see that we have all three of those starters that we have selected. So in this case, just for demonstration, we'll pick Bulbasaur. We won't give any name to the Bulbasaur, and now this Bulbasaur will have the hidden power type that we set at Mom as well. That means that in this instance, this Bulbasaur will have hidden power Ice, which is probably the best hidden power type for the Bulbasaur line. And one thing to note is if you use third-party software to freeze your DVs in RAM, it's not going to correctly calculate your stats when you get your starter. However, by manually setting the DVs ourselves in-game, the stats are always going to be consistent every time you set a hidden power type. Let's now move on to catching the HM friends. If you said yes to that option, you are guaranteed to find a level 6 Paras as your first encounter in the Ilex Forest. Any Pokeball will catch it first time, and then your second encounter will always be a level 7 Psyduck. Once again, a Pokeball will catch this first time, and then you can move out of the grass onto Route 34 to catch your Abra. It's important to note though, if you're wearing a repel in Ilex Forest or Route 34, your encounters won't be guaranteed. Because encounters are still generated, the game just skips over them. An extra feature in this particular patch is the ability to teach your Pokemon moves that they could learn in Generation 1 and egg moves that they would only get via breeding otherwise. In the second floor of every Pokemon Center, you have a pair of move tutors. You have one for the egg moves and one for the Generation 1 TMs. If you wish to teach some of these moves in your challenge, you have to pick either between egg moves and Generation 1 TMs. Once you have taught a move from one tutor, the other tutor will become locked, and in every single challenge you can teach a Pokemon up to 4 moves. And finally, it is important to note that the Generation 1 tutor will not teach any moves that are available as a TM or tutor move in Generation 2. If you mess up your starter selection or you change your mind after speaking to Mom, as long as you have not picked a Pokeball from Elm's laboratory, the right hand side of his PC will also give you the same options. This is exactly the same set of questions that the Mom asks you, and you can repeat this process as many times as you like until you're happy with the starters in each and every ball. And one of the fun things about changing the starters is there is an option for the rival to carry the opposing starter all the way through the game. So for instance, if you set the Cyndaquil ball to be a Dodrio, and then you set the Totodile ball to be a Caterpie, when you engage the rival in battle for the first time, instead of having his regular starter, he will have whichever Pokemon is in the opposing Pokeball to yours. That can make the rival battle incredibly easy, for instance, if you're playing as a Dodrio against a Paras, or you can make the rival battle significantly harder straight off the bat. You could give the rival a Ho-Oh while you have a Caterpie. I wouldn't recommend it, but that is an option that you can choose. Another thing to note is that you can disable evolutions in this challenge patch, so you could stay with a Rattata the entire way through and it will never try to evolve. But if you have evolutions enabled and you have changed the rival starter, the rival's Pokemon will evolve along with you. If the rival's Pokemon would evolve via level up, it will evolve at the correct level as normal. If it's a stone or trade evolution instead, it will start evolving at level 30. If the rival has a branched evolution Pokemon, it will always be consistent throughout the course of the challenge. That's because when you very first start the game, a set of seeds are rolled, and they will determine exactly which branched evolution the rival will take throughout the course of your challenge. Just don't do what I did and lose to Rival 2 while recording footage for this. Now, to download this patch, all you need to do is go to trainersquidgy.com, click onto the Challenge Run patch page, click on the download button, and you can get started. If you're not sure how to patch, instructions are on the page, but in the meantime, I really hope you all enjoy using this Challenge Run patch, and let me know how you get on in the comments below.